Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Diamond Discussion. I am your host, Demetrius Woods, and the Major League Baseball offseason has arrived. The champion has been crowned, and we have a lot to discuss. So with that being said, let's get it started. Alright everybody, we're going to open up this show with a little bit of Major League Baseball history, because if you got a chance to tune in to Game 7, then you were a part of making history, because this was the most watched Major League Baseball game in 34 years. Incredible game, incredible series, and a lot of fans like myself, and hopefully a lot of you guys as well, were able to tune in, man, to watch this Fall Classic. I mean, just unbelievable stuff that we got a chance to watch unfold. Just some crazy battles of the managers and some of the game's top ball players. So anyway, guys, with that being said, we're jumping right into this thing here. Opening up the show, just want to talk a little bit about the viewership, because it was off the charts this year. I mean, I know that we had some World Series in the last 10 to 12 years or so that have truly garnered a lot of respect and a lot of fandom, just a lot of hoorah behind them, right? The Astros those years, even last year's World Series with the classic Dodger Yankee World Series that a lot of us, even me being a Red Sox fan, love to see it, right? Love to see it for the purposes of the game and the history that it's had over the years. But this one, man, topped them all, by far metrics at that. But I just want to put in perspective for you guys, okay? 26 million people, okay, tuned in to Game 7 of the Major League Baseball World Series this year, and it peaked just before midnight Eastern time at 31.5 million, okay? But let me take you back to that 26 million number in comparison, all right? You look at the four major sports right now, a lot of folks would say, of course, the NFL is your number one, but there's that battle between 2 and 3, and for a while, it wasn't truly a battle between the NBA and Major League Baseball. NHL, they're number 4 right now, respectfully, within the United States. However, I think there's a bit of a changing of the guard going on right now of who has the true number 2, because if you look at both sports had a Game 7 this year. The NBA had a Game 7 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers, two young gun teams, just great teams, I would say. Unfortunately, Tyrese Halliburton got hurt there in Game 7 for the Pacers, and I felt like that certainly led to the Thunder's ease of victory down the stretch in Game 7. Not to say the Thunder wouldn't have won it anyway, because they were the best team in the NBA all year. However, my point is, generally speaking, only about 17 million people tuned in to that Game 7. And in a year where we have been blessed in the sports world with 3 Game 7s, NHL, NBA, and MLB, the NBA just didn't perform in terms of the ratings there. So 9 million or so more people tuned in to the Dodgers Blue Jays than they did in the NBA Finals. Man, I'm shocked by that to some regard, because so many people out there have talked about how our sport is a dying sport. They've been kind of insisting that it needs to do some things to revamp the energy, get some new blood flow going. Where's a lifeline here or there for Major League Baseball? But listen, man, I'm telling you, this game is here and it's here to stay. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Dodgers ruining baseball here in a second, and maybe I'll debunk that theory as well. But anyway, man, I'm telling you, I'm pumped about today's show. I think we've got a lot to cover. I've been under the weather a little bit the past couple of days, so we're going to take a couple of breaks as we go throughout this show, just so that I make sure that you guys are getting the best of me. But before I go, man, on this first break here, fun fact, okay? This is the first time ever in a 7-game setting that we got over 70 innings of baseball. Okay, we got a 2-for-1 in Game 3 with the 18-inning showdown. But man, this was just a series for the ages. And if you like baseball, whether you're a Blue Jay fan, a Dodger fan, or any of the other 28 ball clubs out there, or you just a fan of baseball in general, you had to have loved this game. This game, you had to have loved games 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The way that they led up, right, and all that had to take place for Game 7 to happen, and then for Game 7 to unfold the way that it did, just off the charts. So anyway, guys, we're gonna jump back into this thing real quick. I'm gonna highlight some things, man. Starting with that Toronto Blue Jays roster and a couple of key guys that I felt made a huge impact for them this year, but also specifically in the playoffs. So anyway, I'll be right back, guys. Is your home ready for the season? Don't sweat it or freeze it out. Call WBAC Heating and Air, your local experts in keeping comfort simple. From quick repairs to full system installs, WBAC's certified techs make sure your heating and cooling work right every single time. Honest pricing, fast service, and comfort you can count on, because your home deserves the best. WBAC Heating and Air. We bring comfort home. Okay, now listen, tell you what. I want to start off by giving a major. I told you I want to shout out the Blue Jays, fellas. Okay, but that fan base, man. Okay, whatever virtual claps you can give that fan base, you gotta give it up for them, because I haven't seen a team have that kind of rallying cry from the fan base in a long time. I mean, I'm thinking Chicago Cubs a few years ago when they beat the then Cleveland Indians, now the Guardians, in the World Series that year. The way that the Cubs, man, that Chicago fan base was just all in, and every fan base truly is there, but you just, to feel it through the TV screen sometimes like that, you don't always get that opportunity. And I felt like, to the Toronto Blue Jays, man, they were fighting for an entire country, and just the way that they showed up for those home games, the watch parties that they were throwing, even at the crib, man, it was electric. And it was so inspiring to see, man, the amount of people who loved our game, but also they just loved their team. And there's something special about sports to me when you can watch people just put everything else aside and know that we have some common ground and something. And if that something is enough to get us off of our couch and in the car, pull up to the stadium or pull up to the watch party, and we all go crazy for 3 hours together and then go back home, like, it's worth it. And the Toronto Blue Jays, man, shout out to that fan base. That city absolutely showed up this year, and I was incredibly impressed with them. Now listen, that ball club, they were 2 outs away, guys. 2 outs, that's it. Okay, you got the closer in, okay, but the top of the ninth inning, the closer's up, you got 1 out. You got Miguel Rojas up to the plate, a guy who he's hit one home run, I think, at that time since the All-Star break. And the rest is history on that front, right? But I mean, this is a young group. They're young. They're very talented. Do I think I want them to run it back on the Red Sox watch? No, not by any means. But if there was a team that in the division that I would say would be really cool to watch the storyline for them again this next season, it would be the Toronto Blue Jays, no doubt, because they were a team for a lot of folks that just kind of came out of left field, but really they deserve to be right where they were, to have that moment, to have that opportunity to close the door at their house. They just couldn't get it done down the stretch, man. But man, you gotta love what happened for them and what unfolded for those guys to be able to even get there, to be able to get to that point, because they had to go through some tough pitching. All right, they had to go through the Yankees. All right, the Yankees lose. They had to go through those guys. They had to go through a team in Seattle that relies on their staff heavily, right? And then the Dodgers have probably the deepest, pitching staff in all of baseball right now. So shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays, man, all together. But I just want to dive into a couple of specific guys on this ball club that I feel like deserve some kudos, man, in some areas. Before I get into those players, man, just hats off, and my heart goes out to Don Mattingly. He's spent so much time as a player, as a coach, manager, even in this game, and just couldn't get it done. I thought this was the World Series. I think 39 years in Major League Baseball, and I don't believe he's retiring, but he is stepping down from his role as a bench coach with the Toronto Blue Jays. And you got to feel for him, man. I mean, to be that dang close, and I love to see. I saw this clip rather, of Bo Bichette just coming alongside Don Mattingly, man, just putting his arm around him, showing him some love, and just all the feelings on that front, man. Just kind of the emotional part of the game, right? I mean, when you're watching the game on TV, or maybe you've placed some friendly wagers with friends, or even in Vegas or whatever. I think sometimes we kind of dehumanize these guys, right? These are real people with real heartbeats, and I think it's cool, man, that you get to see that aspect of people when when they're out in the field, when they're out competing. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. Excuse me, but I'll tell you a couple of more guys that I want to point out, and one is a former LSU Tiger by the name of Kevin Gossman. Okay, KG, man, this year was huge for the Blue Jays. I don't think that's not an overstatement by any stretch of the imagination, right? But one would say that his pitching performances will be skirted underneath the rug during this World Series forever, because he started the same games that Yamamoto started. And we all know what Yamamoto, the action that he put together. 9 innings in one game, 6 innings, 9 innings in game two, 6 innings in game six. Okay. But Gossman was right there with him. And if it weren't for a couple, now we can always play the what if game, right? But it's always about a couple of breaks here or there. And Kevin Gossman would have been on the winning side of at least one of those games. And I thought game six might have been the one based on where it was going. He had the ball in his hands with a chance to, you know, clinch this thing for the team. And, Yamamoto matched him step for step and really outdid him, ultimately. But all that to say, Kevin Gossman, man, don't let his performance slip away from your brain, because although it was a losing effort, dude, he was right there with Yamamoto. So that's one guy, man. As I just mentioned earlier, Bo Bichette came alongside Don Mattingly, man, put his arm around him. But what Bo Bichette also did was himself, he showed us what a dog really looks like. Okay, this guy had zero postseason action this year. Okay, missed the closing of the regular season for the Blue Jays as well, out with that knee injury. And this guy comes back in the World Series with a few games left and makes some noise immediately. Like, wasted zero time of getting back into things. And you could tell he was really working on tracking pitches. He was working on timing, getting a good feel for the game during his time away. And I think that paid off dividends for him, man. And honestly, he had what would have been the game-changing home run in Game 7 if it weren't for just the craziness of the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes, right? Excuse me, guys. So anyway, all that to say, man, Bo Bichette was just an absolute dog, and it was cool to watch his uh, his persistence to get back, because there was some folks, myself included, didn't think we'd see him at all this series. So he was one. George Springer, another guy who battled back in the middle of the World Series, actually, and I think that, let's be real, George Springer fell off right in Toronto. He had a couple of years, well, 2 or 3 years, I would say, there, where he just wasn't the Houston Astros version of George Springer that the Blue Jays thought that they were getting. And then this year, he's right back in action and putting up, numbers that show us who he truly is. Okay. And so with that being said, I think he should be acknowledged as the most improved player this year. He was absolutely phenomenal. And there were moments. I mean, he hit the home run to get them into the World Series against the Mariners in that Game 7. So George Springer, man, shout out to him and being able to play that leadoff role the way that he did this year for the Blue Jays, electric, absolutely electric. Way mad respect for him. Okay, another guy, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Man, Vladdy as they call him. Okay, I would have loved to have seen him be able to get that championship ring to his dad, Vladimir Guerrero Sr. I know he talked about being able to do that and how motivating that opportunity was for him, and you can tell he played like it. He played like he had something to prove, something to do. He was playing for a cause, playing for a mission because he couldn't be stopped. Okay, this guy was a runaway train, no matter the count, and he was coming for every pitcher that hopped on the hill for the Dodgers. And I don't think there was any single pitcher that truly got the best of him throughout this series. I believe that Vladdy, man, he's a contact hitting machine. Okay, and he, even if it's not the best of contact, he's so strong that he just finds a way. And so Vladimir Guerrero Jr., man, another guy that I loved to be able to watch him, and because he struggled, really, you think about it. If you look back at the end of the regular season, he was not good. Okay, he wasn't good at all, really. We're being real. But when that postseason hit and those lights came on, Vladdy was ready, and he put up numbers that are going to be tough to match in the future. I would say for sure. So Vladdy's one of those guys, man. Another guy for the Blue Jays, Trey Savage, one of the most incredible stories. I'm gonna have to do an entire segment on this guy in the future, but man, what a rookie campaign to be able to put together. I mean, he pitched for single A, double A, triple A, even some other little farm league teams in there. And then he's getting the game 1 start for the World Series. I mean, hey, hats off to this guy. Hats off to Trey. Hats off to his mentality because I'm going to talk about mental toughness towards the end of the show as one of the lessons that I felt like I learned by watching this World Series. But you can't mention mental toughness without mentioning Trey Savage. He was a savage, okay, pun intended, because this guy was absolutely phenomenal this series, and he's one that you want on your team. You want him taking the ball and getting on that hill and shoving because he did just that this series. It was cool to watch, and I think Savage is going to come back next year hunting for more. I don't believe he's going to enter that sophomore slump, that second year slump that people talk about. He's going to be ready because truly next year is going to be his first full year in the majors. He's going to be ready to roll. So last guy before we take this break, man, I would say as a Red Sox fan, it's hard for me to say, hey, I have a favorite player on another team, especially in the division. But Ernie Clement is my favorite Blue Jay to watch. I mean, this guy notched 30 base hits in the postseason out of the 8 hole. Okay. Yes, you heard that correctly. 30 base hits out of the 8 hole. Unreal, unheard of. That's the most ever in an MLB postseason. Okay. So put that in perspective. He's not getting as many batting opportunities as the first 7 guys, right? Just by its sheer nature of numbers. But yet, every opportunity that he got a chance to come up and produce for his ball club, he did. And he did it in a major way. I mean, it's not just singles. This guy's hitting extra base hits, doubles off the wall, dropping bombs when he needs to. Like, he was incredible. And again, he was batting 2 something during the regular season, right? But he clearly turned it on in the postseason. And for him to be in the bottom of the order, followed by Jimenez, That was a great 8-9. That was a great 1-2 punch to lead it back up to George Springer at the top of the order for the Blue Jays. Shout out to the coaching staff, man, and John Schneider and that group, because they did a hell of a job constructing this lineup, putting these guys in position to succeed. And I hate it for them that they were that close and didn't pull it off. But man, you got to have your hats off to these guys and that ball club. So as you can see, I'm getting crazy horse again. So I'm gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back. When it comes to your money, you deserve a partner who helps you build more than wealth. You deserve impact. At Impact Financial Alliance, we help you create a plan that fits your life, your goals, and your future. Whether it's investing smart, planning for retirement, or protecting what matters most, our team is here to guide you every step of the way. Impact Financial Alliance, where your future meets its full potential. All right, guys, welcome back. Now, I want to get right to the Dodgers, but before I do, I've got just a quick little fun fact for you. Okay, went and did some research. I actually saw it first on my Twitter timeline there, but I want to do some fact checking, make sure I was right about it, and I was. So here's the amount of splitters, okay, that have been thrown in the World Series since 2008. All right, 6, 0, 0, 0, 27, 39, 23, 10, 0, 6, 8, 22, 22, 21, 6, 56, and then last year's World Series, there were 31 splitters thrown in the entire series. Okay, between the Dodgers and the Yankees. This World Series specifically, 2025, Dodgers Blue Jays saw 277 splitters being thrown. Just unbelievable. Okay, unbelievable turn right there. Because if I were to add all these numbers up, which I didn't, I don't know that we would get 277. Maybe we would come close. But like, that's wild, in my opinion. I don't know what that means. Obviously I know what it does mean. I do know that there's just some guys out there who are like Trey Savage and Yamamoto who rely heavily on that pitch. But if you look at the effectiveness of it, I mean, my gosh, the Dodgers won the World Series in 7 games, but they batted .203. And I know that the splitter had a lot to do with their inability to hit the ball at a high clip. And so I don't know. Maybe that means that younger guys out there are going to go out and learn the splitter to throw it effectively. Maybe it'll become a thing. But I thought that was really cool and really just a little interesting fun fact there for you guys. But anyway, guys, we're going to take one more quick break before I jump right here into the Dodgers segment here. And then we'll go from there. When it comes to your next build, experience matters. Construction Managers brings decades of hands-on expertise to every project, big or small. From planning to completion, our team ensures quality, safety, and efficiency every step of the way. Whether it's commercial, industrial, or residential, we turn blueprints into reality, on time and on budget. Construction Managers, building confidence one project at a time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for bearing with me as we take a few breaks here. But listen, let me tell you something. All right, these Los Angeles Dodgers, this version of them right now, they're dang near unstoppable. And you know it, I know it. However, baseball has a way of humbling all of us. Is a three-peat among us? I don't know. But let's celebrate this group right here, man, because you don't get a chance to see repeats like this very often. And honestly, this is the first National League team to repeat since the Big Red Machine did back in 75 and 76, right? The Cincinnati Reds with Tony Perez, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench, Ken Griffey Jr. Sr., Pete Rose, all of those guys, right? Nobody in the National League has repeated since then. And here they are, the Los Angeles Dodgers of 2024 and 2025, led by guys like the likes of Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Will Smith. I mean, it's just, this is an incredible core group. And when you see repeats like this, usually there is a core group there, right, that has their thumbprints all over it. And this year is no different than that, man. It's just cool to watch. I mean, how did they even do this? Okay, they're down 3-2 going into game six on the road. Their backs are against the wall. Uh, I'd say game six had a lot to do with Yamamoto. Okay. He pitched 6 innings and was just, he was him. He was absolutely him. And he did what was necessary for them to win this ball game. And I thought that was very, uh, that was very characteristic of what Yamamoto does. He is able to take a game and dominate it by being crafty, right? I think about Randy Johnson, who had a very similar World Series against the New York Yankees when they won it back in '01, I believe. The Diamondbacks did. But he was the big unit, and he can blow it by you. Yamamoto is going to maybe come in at 98, 96, somewhere in there. He's not going to throw it often. His fastball. He's going to carve up the plate. He's going to paint like he's freaking, just left Home Depot, right? It's just unreal, I would say. So game six, man, a lot to do with Yamamoto. Obviously, the Dodgers were able to score 3 runs that game to, make it feel a little bit more comfortable, but they only needed 2, I believe. So anyway, Yamamoto, game six, incredible. Game seven, that's baseball. Game seven is baseball at its best because baseball does not show you what the NBA or maybe even the NFL does, right? In those particular sports, typically the best guy on the team is going to take the last shot, right? The best guy on the team is going to throw the touchdown pass, or he's going to run it in, or he's going to be the one to catch it. In baseball, it doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way where the best guy on the team gets to be the one in the moment, gets to play the hero role. Sometimes it's the guy who hasn't hit a home run since the All-Star break. And he comes up big in the 9th inning with 1 out. His team is down by 1 run. The game's on the line. And he hits a line drive home run over the left field wall. That's what baseball is right there. Where on any given night, somebody can be the guy. And I'm telling you, man, there is no greater sport, in my opinion. I will debate you till I'm blue in the face about this, but baseball players are built differently. And for Miguel Rojas to come up in that moment and to be the guy to do it, I loved it. I loved every single bit of it, man. But let's jump into this thing. I got a couple of guys, man. Miguel Tejada for the Baltimore Orioles. Longtime guy. Loved him. But Miggy Rojas, okay, was ridiculous. I mean, he is a defensive specialist. Okay, wrap your mind around that. Dave Roberts inserted him into the game at second base to be the guy that can lock it down. He's a shortstop. Okay, but he locked down second base like nobody's business. And even up until the end, where that play that everybody's going to continue to rewatch, where Will Smith at home plate, the catcher becomes a first baseman, and who was it? Was it IKF? Yeah, that's who was sliding into home plate there on that play. The infield was brought in. Miggy Rojas made an off balance play, almost falls, regains his balance, and fires a missile to the plate for that force out, that second out of the inning. Okay. Again, there are things that take place in baseball where the ball is just going to find you. And you have to be ready for the moment. I thought Miggy was ready for that moment. I was very impressed with that. But that's what he was there for. He wasn't really necessarily there for the offense. Okay, he's not the greatest offensive guy, and he'll admit that. He wasn't what he needed to be this year for the team offensively. But dang it if he wasn't there for them defensively. And dang it if he wasn't there for them offensively at the right moment. It's about moments sometimes, guys. And for you young players out there, please understand, you may not be at your best every game. You may be having the crappiest 3 week stretch of your career, but it's okay because if you get another opportunity, if your coach continues to insert you into the lineup, make the most of the next one. Make the most of the one right there in front of you because you never know what can happen. It can be the Miggy Rojas moment right there in the ninth inning. So shout out to Miggy, man. Another guy, my favorite baseball player, Mookie Betts. He struggled mightily offensively during this series. I mean, it was so tough to watch as a fan of Mookie specifically. It was so cool, I will say, though, reversely, to watch him come out of it and deliver that 2 RBI single in Game 6, which ended up being the difference in the game from a scoreboard standpoint. But Mookie at shortstop, and he talked about this in a post-game interview with Big Papi and Derek Jeter and A-Rod, um, of the fact that shortstop, for him in his mind, is such a difficult position to play that he has no choice but to compartmentalize what's going on negatively at the plate and what he has to be able to lock in and do on the field at the shortstop position. I would say that every position player should consider that mentality of, listen, what I do at the plate has no impact on what I do in the field. I got to be able to lock in regardless on the field and at the plate. And if I'm not well somewhere, then I need to be better in the other place. You can't afford really to be bad at both places, especially if you're bad because you're in your head, right? That's where you get in trouble. Okay. And so for you young fellas out there and young ladies out there, man, separate the two. All right. And be okay being great at one until the other one picks itself up. Okay. Excuse me. Another guy. All right. Well, some would say the hero deserves all the respect and the admiration and love that you can possibly praise on him is Will Smith. All right. He hits the bomb of bombs. All right. To win the World Series. Yes. However, not to undermine that by any stretch of the imagination, but this guy caught every single inning of the World Series for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay. And also respect to Alejandro Kirk, the Toronto Blue Jays. Okay. These guys are workhorses back there, man. I mean, he even admitted, um, Will Smith did, in the 13th inning of that 18 inning situation, man. I mean, his knees were about to give out, and he just had to push through it, right? But every single inning, man, of a World Series that eclipsed 70 innings, okay? And they played these 7 games in a 9-day span, okay? So it was not, it was not for the weak by any means. So shout out to Will Smith as well. Another guy, man, another guy. I loved that the cameraman caught Kike at the end. You could probably Google it now, YouTube it. But Kike Hernandez, Freddie Freeman, they're celebrating post game after winning the World Series there in Game 7. And Kike tells Freddie Freeman, "We didn't do crap." Okay, obviously he was speaking specifically about Game 7. But the reason I love that moment is because we both know, all of us, if you're watching this, and as I'm saying it right now, we know that Kike means a hell of a lot to that ball club, and so does Freddie Freeman. And they both had their marks on this team this year and in this series, right? Game 6, Kike, double play. Freddie Freeman, walk-off home run earlier in the series. Okay, so again, they both did damage earlier on. But he's the kind of guy you want on your ball club. Yes, he's energetic. Yes, he's fun-loving. He's gonna bring the energy. But man, he's the kind of guy that you want in your ball club because at the end of the day, he is going to help be the glue guy for the rest of that group. And I'm telling you, man, he's going to give you everything he's got. And so for that, man, I love Kike. I love watching him. He's just an impressive specimen of a human being. I would say that. Okay. Another fella, man. He's not a household name. Okay. He goes by the name of Will Klein. And Will Klein, I will tell you, all right, if you remember, okay, during that game 3, 6.5 hour, 18 inning long knockdown drag out, okay, he threw 72 pitches and 4 scoreless innings for the Dodgers in extras. And understand, of those 72 pitches, if one of them is not properly located and the Blue Jays connect, it's game over. They're walking it off. But he came in and handled business. And to do that, and the fire in his eyes, the fire in his body, and everything that he had going there, it was a beautiful thing to watch as well. So shout out to Will Klein, man. And the last shout out I give is to Shohei Ohtani, because he did put on a show. All right. The guy is just, he proved why I believe he's the greatest player of this era. All right. Because of the talent that he puts forth at the plate and what he's able to do on the mound. And the fear and respect that he garners from other ball clubs and other managers actually, in my opinion, gives more opportunities for the guys behind him. And the more times guys come up to the plate in a series, that's just worse and worse for the pitching staff of the other ball club, right? And I think the amount of intentional walks that Shohei Ohtani drew during this series, or even the unintentional ones, it kind of reared its ugly head a little bit over time, because the guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, who didn't have, their patented flawless series, they got more at bats, which means they got to see more pitches. And that means that provided more opportunities, yes, for them to get out, but also for them to come through, which down the stretch, they did. So anyway, guys, we're going to take one more quick break here. I keep saying one more. We're going to take another quick break here. As I continue to work through my voice, I apologize again. Last time I'm going to apologize about that. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'll be right back. Are you passionate about baseball and softball and love connecting with fans? The Diamond Discussion Podcast is looking for brand ambassadors. Help us spread the word, grow the community, and represent the show at games, events, and online. You'll get exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes access, and a chance to be part of something bigger than the box score. Join the team today and apply now at thediamonddiscussion.com. Okay, everybody, welcome back once again. Now listen, this segment here is about the question of, are the Dodgers ruining baseball? Okay, and before you guys hit me with the yeah and all the hoorahs about it, okay, I'm just going to point blank say it. Absolutely not. They are not ruining baseball. Okay, and I'm here to argue about it, because I'm not a defender of the Dodgers. I'm not a huge fan of the Dodgers. You guys know I'm a Red Sox fan. You also know that Mookie Betts happens to play for the Dodgers now, so I may root for the Dodgers because of him a little bit, but not anywhere close. This is truly an unbiased opinion. Okay, and the reason I feel that they're not ruining baseball, I'll try to keep this brief, is because every single team is owned by somebody or somebodies that have lots of cash flow. Okay, billions of dollars. All right, they're worth billions. Their net worth is ridiculous. It's through the roof. Right. Therefore, every single ownership group, excuse me, has the opportunity to come in and say, hey, listen, we're going to lay this on the table for this amount of players or for this specific player, and we're going to go all in on this guy. And when teams succeed in that, it doesn't necessarily guarantee a championship, right? Because some people are like, well, the Dodgers have bought their last 2 World Series. No, they haven't. They have great players. They opened up the piggy bank and said, hey, listen, we're going to pay these guys what we believe that they're worth, all right, in turn for a chance at them, producing and coming through and being able to execute enough throughout a 162 game season and then a multi-game playoff season, and we'll see what the cards fall at the end of it, right? Is that not what every team's trying to do, right? They're everybody's trying to win, okay? And so in baseball, where there's uncapped, all right, cash flow to go around, you got to be able to put your money where your mouth is to be able to grab some of these players. And so I don't truly believe, whether it's small market or not, I don't believe there's an imbalance, because I also can go with the argument that, listen, that guarantees absolutely nothing. Again, 3 seasons ago, we had a Rangers versus Diamondbacks World Series, and they don't even have anywhere close to the payrolls the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Padres have, even the Red Sox. Okay, so all that to say, no, they did not. And here's another fact. Okay, I'm pretty certain that the Yankees offered Yamamoto $300 million. The Dodgers came in and offered 325. The Yankees had an opportunity to raise their offer, and we could have seen him in a Yankee uniform. I'm glad we didn't, but we could have. Okay, 3 other teams that I feel like drop the ball. Okay, the Red Sox let Mookie Betts go, basically, right? The Braves let Freddie walk. Okay, that was another one right there. And then the Blue Jays almost had Shohei Ohtani. So, again, there are opportunities for teams to put together a collection of guys that are good enough to make a deep postseason run. The question is, will they do it? And the other leagues out there, the NHL, the NBA, NFL, they have caps and all that, but a lot of times you still see some of the same. The Chiefs keep going. The Chiefs have been a carousel of receivers over the years, yet they still find themselves at the top of the mountain or near the top every single year over this stretch that they've been on. And so again, man, I don't believe that. I'm not even gonna sit here and condone that as a fact, because at the end of the day, every team can go out and do what the Dodgers have done. Those years that the Astros were just absolutely dominating, in my opinion, the league, they were on the cusp of becoming a dynasty because they had a collection of guys that were right. They had the chemistry, they stayed healthy, and they were able to get things done. And so, again, guys, at the end of the day, the Dodgers have done what they set out to do, was to get stars, right, in LA, which is what they do. That's part of the LA aura, if you will. And they have that. But and then again, you go, well, yeah, they got Mookie and they got Shohei and they have Freddie. But even in this series specifically, it was won by Will Smith at the end. Miggy Rojas got him there. When things looked like they were not, the Dodgers were ready to turn the lights off, Max Muncy drops a bomb late game to get things started for them, right? So all that to say, I don't believe they're ruining baseball. I think it's a beautiful thing what they're doing. It's forcing other teams to figure out how can we counter, and if it's countering with money, great. If it's countering through the draft, great. If it's countering through development, great. Whatever you got to do to counter, it's your job to figure that out as an organization. Don't go blaming the Dodgers because their money paid off for them. Because also, by the way, the New York Yankees spent over $1 billion on Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, and Garrett Cole. The Padres, they spent nearly $1 billion on Francisco, Fernando Tatis Jr., right, Xander Bogaerts, and Manny Machado. Okay, so don't even come to me about the Dodgers, because it's just a simple fact that their money paid off this year and last year. because the Padres dished out a lot of money. The Yankees dished out a lot of money. Okay? The Rangers and the Diamondbacks didn't. They were right there. So, anyway, I'm off my soapbox on that front. However, for those who want to argue and want to debate about it, I am open on it. I am absolutely open because I want to hear the perspectives of people that don't agree with that. Because at the end of the day, like that's what this is about, right? Let's have some discourse. Let's talk about it. Um, and I dare I say I would love to see you change my mind because I just don't see that as the way to go. So anyway, let's take one final break here, and in this final break here, or excuse me, on the other side of this final break here, rather, I've just got a few lessons that I felt like I wrote them down as the World Series was kind of unfolding here. I'm like, man, I think that would be good to take away and maybe share when the time's right. So anyway, I've got 5 or 6 lessons. Grab your notebooks out. Take a couple seconds here off, and we'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back one last time to the show. And as I mentioned before, I wanted to share these few lessons with you. I hope you'll find some value in them as I was kind of taking some notes and writing them down. My first lesson, my first thought is about preparation and adapting, right? I think that those are two things that really together will help you win a championship. If you look at these two ball clubs and the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, they took each other's punches. I mean, they constantly went at it, right? They had to figure things out on the fly, how to use the bullpen in this game, how to set things up for the next game. And they're playing chess the entire series. I mean, both managers are just grinding their gears and emptying the tank to figure out who can outlast the other one. And they were adapting in the moment, but the preparation beforehand is what gave them the opportunity, both teams, to be successful throughout the series. And so, my lesson with this, man, is that if you're in a scenario where you get the opportunity to study your opponent, do it. Study your opponent, take notes, and understand where their weak spots are, and then exploit them. All right. So that's my lesson on that front. And if you've got to adjust your game plan, mid game, mid inning, whatever, then do it by all means. If it's broken, fix it. Right. And then, so that's my first lesson. The second one here is really, I mentioned this earlier about Trey Savage's mental toughness. But I feel like the idea of mental toughness, it matters more than momentum. Because if you look at the Blue Jays, for example, they lost some really tough extra inning ball games, yet they bounced back right away. Okay, the Dodgers, they went down twice in the series, yet they bounced back. Right, they were down 3-2 going into Game 6, and they had to win 2 games on the road. Right, you don't fly across the country, or fly out of the country actually. They don't fly from Los Angeles to Toronto getting ready for game 6 to say, you know what, guys, we're just here. We'll just take it and we'll head back to LA. No, they came in ready. Dave Roberts gave them the option the night before to do nothing. Yet they all chose to work out. That's a team. That's chemistry. That's a team that has mental toughness, and they displayed that. And when I think about the game of baseball, I think that baseball rewards emotional control. When you can tame your emotions and channel them properly throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of an entire series, and be able to hit that reset button after every single pitch or every single inning or every single game, you're going to find yourself in a really good spot. And I think that's a big lesson for all of us to take away as coaches and players and parents and fans of the game in general. All right. Number three that I thought was, uh, I don't want to call it counterintuitive because there were bombs hit in this series, but I'll say this: plate discipline beats power. And the reason I said this specifically is has everything to do with the Blue Jays. If you watch them, yes, Vladdy went yard at a record pace. Okay, this postseason. But besides that, these Blue Jays are so good, and they were so good at simply putting the ball in play and making defenses work really hard to get them out. Okay, and a lot of times those defenses struggled to do that because I can't tell you how many times you watch the Blue Jays get two guys on with nobody out, and now there's a deep fly ball, and they're tagging up, and now there's another one, or a ground ball to the right side, and they're scoring a run. They put up crooked numbers over and over and over again in individual innings, and I think that was incredibly impressive. But the way that they did it is that they did not just swing hard; they swung smart. They were very selective about what they wanted, and they forced the pitchers to come to their zone. And as young hitters out there who are listening on the show right now, do just that. Find out where your hot spot is, find out where your cold zone is, address your cold zone, but in the game, sit for that red heater, that hot spot moment. Because if they come there, you're already ready. You're sitting on you waiting on O, right? And I think that's for us, guys. When you know your zone and you force pitchers to do that, you're in a good spot as well. Okay. The next one is, and I don't listen. I will live and die on this hill. Okay, that base running wins ball games. Okay, and defense too. Defense and base running. You saw it in this series where they're turning double plays, and you've got two guys on base with one out, and it's like, ooh, this inning could really unravel right here on both sides, Dodgers and Blue Jays. And then they're one pitch away. They're one pitch away, and there it goes. There's that ground ball, and they roll it up, and they're out of the inning. And so what could have been a multi-run disaster gets wrapped up because of a double play. That happens because of pitch calling, pitch location, pitch execution, and the defense being in the right place at the right time, prepared for the moment. On the other side of it, though, where the defense is so good there, base running gives you opportunities when you can be aggressive, tag up when you're supposed to tag up, take the extra base when you're supposed to take it, and force defenses to make a play. That's also going to add a lot of pressure on them. Therefore, again, that gives you a chance to really go after it and dial it in. And so my lesson on that front, guys, is don't overlook defense and don't overlook the willingness of guys who are going to go out there and they're going to hustle their butts off. That's a big thing. And yes, it sounds good and it looks good, for those of you who are trying to go to college or, maybe play at the pro level, right? You want to be known as a guy who hustles, but it's more than just that sounding good on paper. Like, what does that actually look like practically when you're on the ball field? Do you hustle every single play? Whether it's the World Series or not, game 47 of the season, where are you? All right. Are you diving for the ball that's deep in the 5-6 hole to be able to make a play and to, in the second inning? That's what that looks like. Okay. Two more for you. Okay. I think this is big. The Dodgers had both, but I think that team chemistry beats star power alone. Okay. If it's just star power and no team chemistry, it's a no-go. Okay. But if it's team chemistry alone, it can win. And unfortunately for the Blue Jays, the Dodgers have star power and team chemistry. That, I guess, you could say that was able to, cap this thing off for LA. But when you are together, togetherness is to me, it's one of those underrated things. And I feel like if you guys can have that glue on the field and off the field, that's huge because the lesson there, in my opinion, is that you got to go be a great teammate. And being a great teammate is more than just having your guy or girl's back on the field. It's being a good person off the field because when you talk about winning championships with people, trust and communication and goals, being on the same wavelength and mindset is really what gets that job done. So be a great teammate and trust that your guy is going to have your back and your girl is going to be right there with you every step of the way. Okay. Last one here is that history is made by staying ready. And I just wanted to point out, man, Addison Barger for the Toronto Blue Jays, uh, pinch hit, the first ever pinch hit grand slam in the World Series. Uh, talk about staying ready. Okay, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. All right, and he was that coming in cold off the bench, but he was ready for the moment. And he came up big right there. And what I'll say, man, is that the lesson is that if you stay locked in, your moment will come when you least expect it, possibly. But if you're ready, then it doesn't matter if you're expecting it or not, because your preparation, the time and energy that you put in, your mindset, all the things that I've already talked about, the lessons learned, that's how you make history. That's how you pull off what Addison Barger pulled off as the first ever pinch hit grand slam in a World Series. So anyway, guys, that's the show for today, man. The thought you should know moment is very simple, hopefully as it always is. And it's to take some of these lessons and apply them, right? Whether it's these lessons that I just gave you today or any lesson that you've learned in life, it's no good to you if it's just written down in a journal somewhere under the mattress, right? Or in a closet somewhere. I don't know why it would be under the mattress, but wherever it is. If it's collecting dust, it's no good to us. All right. Take these lessons, apply them to your game, apply them to your life, and be better because of it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much, man, for tuning into this show. We are dialed in here through the off season. Lots of great things, lots of good nuggets to talk about. I'm going to be hitting you guys with lots of advice and just thoughts. A lot of you have sent me your swings and some of your pitching mechanics and things like that. For some of you, I won't put you on the spot, but I'm going to use some of the footage that you shared with me to be able to just shed light on a couple of things that I think can help you as we move through the off season. So with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up this show like we always do. So please let everything you do be done in love, because at the end of the day, that is what makes this world go round. Thank you all so much, as always, for tuning in. See you next time.